Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to the Dadless Soul Sessions. It is the June edition of this. I had to remember what month it was. They're just the months. They all blur into one when you get to a certain age, don't you? My name's Jim Colson, and I am the host of this. What we do every month is we look at what it's like to be a dad, what it's like to be a parent, what it's like to be a man. And we get guests on who have something to say about those sorts of subjects. Also, we have our great advice sections as well. So we've got the brilliant Coach Glen Oliver coming up very soon, who will be telling you about health and mindset. In fact, I could do my old daytime TV menu thing here where you could see what's coming up. Just imagine the This Morning music. Dun, 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 dun. Then about 8:45, Dan Lassalle, our Lord and Master, our Supreme Leader, Dan Flanagan, will be here with an update on all the latest Dad Lassalle stuff. And you've got Alex on the way about 8:50 with his conflict management clinic. You can get in contact at any point, send messages through, ask questions, and I will do my best to get someone to answer them if you want. If you want to comment on anything, brilliant. If you're watching this at some point in the future and you want to tell us about something you want on the Dadless Soul Sessions or something that you think is relevant, then definitely get in contact in the comments on any of these. We will eventually get around to looking at them with volunteers. But, we do like to spend a lot of time scrolling on our phones because it's the way of the world, isn't it? So we will get around to that, but we'd love to know what you think about it, people that you think we should have on this show, and what you basically think of the format of it as well, and all that sort of jazz. So first of all, let's go to our first section of the show, and it is Coach Glen Oliver. Coach Glen Oliver, which is your full title, and I won't hear you called anything other than that. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm great. Yeah, I'm. It always feels good to be introduced as that, so it's lovely. You have to forgive me. My daughter's here tonight, so I co-parent. So she wanted to come along and say hello very quickly.
Oh, hello.
You all right? Do you mind if I do this talking quickly and you guys sit back down over there? Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, got some milk to down. Get that milk down. Down in one. Down in one.
iPad in front of her.
Perfect. That is the way. That's the way we all get through it.
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you for having me back.
Oh, no. Well, thank you for coming back. We've got 3 questions that we've had in, and just wanted to get your kind of view on this, on the sort of health and well-being type of tip. First one is this: I'd like to be healthier, but I genuinely can't stop snacking. Even though I do a bit of exercise, I take on so many calories from crisps and chocolate. It's kind of wasted. How can I stop?
Yeah, this is a common one, which I've seen over the years. A lot of people, it's not their meals, it's what they're in between the meals. And I think snacking is something which is highly habitual. And if it's habitual, then the truth is it's trying to break that habit. And we could go down a real rabbit hole on this and spend an hour on it. But in short, if it is a habit, the key is to try and recognize that and then break the habit. One of the easiest ways is environment. So with things like snacks, crisps and chocolates, if you're not in easy access or even in the house, you're not going to have them. Can I put another? Yeah, in a minute, okay? Thank you. So that's one thing. Yeah, so that environment's the big one, right? And then it's considering out how you can swap those snacks, what you're having now. Addy, I've got to do this. I'll be 5 minutes, all right? Sorry. Well, it's what it is. I thought I'm just going to do it because I didn't have a choice. And
this is the most relatable thing that's ever been.
Yeah, and that's what I thought. Like that's real life, isn't it, for all of us? Co-parenting. So environment's one thing, and then swapping those things out. Right, you're never going to go from a bag of crisps to an apple, but you might go from a bag of crisps to baked crisps. And then once we've considered the habitual side of it, another thing which is really common is stress. Snacking is like self-soothing for many of us. And for me, at the N equals 1 of me and many people I coach, when you reduce stress, you increase your ability to make better decisions around things like snacks. So those are the big ones.
Okay, I'm in for that. I understand the habitual thing because I tend to do this thing where I'll be working, I'll be thinking, and then I'll just need to stand up and walk around and have a think. And get something, eat something, have a think. And it is completely habit for me. Totally is. So I get that completely. I need to stop thinking. I think that's what I need to do.
Yeah, but the best book on this is called Atomic Habits, and it's like there's always a cue, there's a trigger, a response, and then the reward. And if you can understand and engineer that process, you can do it. It's trying. The thing you don't want to do is just go, well, I'm just not going to have it, because the way our brains work, we're just going to desire it so much more.
Yes. Oh, I can see that. Yes. It's funny. It's these sort of things that you kind of know instinctively, but you don't really think about it until someone puts it into words, and you're like,
yeah,
oh, God, that makes sense. Yes. This is the next question that's come in. This is, do you have any advice for short mindfulness techniques? I'm super busy, feel like my to-do list overwhelms me. If I could take a few short breaks during the day and reset it, it would be really helpful.
Yeah, two really simple ones. Firstly, just going for a walk. There is nothing more restful than getting outside, especially when the weather's good, and just being outside for 5 minutes. Obviously, leave your phone inside, no technology. If weather is not good and you can't do that, there's something called box breathing, which is, I think it's originally a technique from the Navy SEALs, which sounds like a weird thing to do when you're trying to relax. It's basically, yeah, you're like, why were they doing this? They don't need to be relaxed. They're like going to do stuff. So it's basically a technique where you have like a 4-second inhale, a 4-second pause, a 4-second exhale, and then a 4-second pause. Do that for 5 minutes. And basically that slow rhythmic breathing is decompressing you, and it's kind of getting you I don't want to use language, but it's kind of getting you in a bit more of a relaxed state. Most of us, when we're working, it's kind of like fight or flight. So just trying to get the body into that calm state, the easiest way to trigger that is through the breath. And then when I read this, I was like, okay, well, the other conversation here is the to-do list and how you can manage that a bit more effectively. But for those, the mindfulness side of it, that would be it.
Okay. I think we'll come back to a to-do list type thing next time, if you're up for that.
Yeah, of course.
Because I think there's a lot of people that could really do with that sort of help. Definitely.
Yeah, no,
but that's great. Those are really great techniques to just, get away and have that little moment away to reset. And the third question is this one. I have a brain that struggles to settle on one thing. Have you got any tips for helping focus?
Yeah, cool. So really, really common these days. And I think this could be for a number of reasons. Without knowing the person that's asked this, I'm obviously biasing what I hear generally. But you might want to consider the information that's actually coming in to you, because that, I think, is a big thing these days. We're so overloaded with information. I think that has a real detrimental effect on our ability to focus. The other side of that is, are you able to plan for the work you need to do to get this one thing done? And if you're doing that one thing, are you closing all the other things down that can distract you away from that? So like if I'm doing like programming for some of my clients or whatever it is, like everything else is closed because I know that that's the mode I'm in. And as soon as you have a distraction from that, it's not the distraction of doing that other thing, it's the energy that it takes to transition from doing that one thing to the other. And that's why we get so worn out. So I would say, with the focus, it's try and be intentional, try and plan your time as best as you can, and then really consider if you can just close out all the other potential distractions to you at the time when you're going to go into it. Brilliant.
Glenn, once again, thank you so much. This is some great chat. This is really important stuff, and it's really helpful. Thank you. I think not only can we relate to your situation of trying to do a video call while there are children running about, but also all of these things. I think, these are kind of very common issues, aren't they, with focus and things like that. So thank you very much. Sorry, I called you Glenn. Coach.
Coach, don't ever do that again. I'm not coming on here again. No. Cheers, man.
That's on your rider. Thank you so much, Glenn. Really appreciate it. And Glenn will be back next month, fingers crossed. And I should have asked him before he went, shouldn't I? But if you've got any more questions in the intervening month, then definitely make sure you get them in. Our main full guest tonight is Ben Moorhouse. He has been on before, actually, our first return guest. And he is raising money through extreme challenges to save babies' lives. Now, he has an extraordinary story to tell. He's, a very tragic story to tell in very many ways, but also a story of kind of channeling that grief into doing something for other people. However, there are elements working against him. And so as he he psychs himself up and he prepares for his biggest challenge yet, which we'll tell you about after about 9 o'clock this evening. There are many reasons why he can't get that message out. And it's about kind of attitudes to stillbirth and baby loss, that these things that need talking about, but for some reason, many people want to shy away from it. They'd prefer not to, which I think it would be healthier for many people if we did. So, but Ben can tell you more about that a little bit later on. Got this message from Alison. It says, looking forward to tonight's show and listening to the inspirational Ben Moorhouse. Ben supports my husband after the death of our daughter. My husband may not be here today if not for Ben's support. Ben deserves far more support for his upcoming Edinburgh to Manchester Extreme Challenge. Go, Ben. And so I kind of a little insight there into kind of why what Ben's doing is necessary, and why it's important people do talk about it, and why those people try not to talk about it may be doing us all a disservice. But that's coming up a little bit later on. We've got Alex very soon with his conflict management clinic. He'll be answering your questions about that. And very soon, very, very soon, you'll hear from Dan, Dad Lasol's very own Uber leader, Dan, who is talking about the kind of stuff that's going on with Dad Lasol.
Well, I found it's been really cool. I've got a great time meeting some of the dads here and hanging out and stuff. How did you find it, though?
I found one friend which was 3 years old, and I really liked her.
So you found a friend who's 3 years old. Do you really like her? Yeah?
Oh, fantastic. And the most important question, would you recommend Dad Lasol and would you come again?
I definitely recommend Dad Lasol, and it's great for dads to get together and hang out and spend a bit of quality time. Now, would you recommend it, Fernanda?
Yes.
You would?
Fantastic.
You make new friends. There's always room for new friends, so we recommend it highly.
I'm Dad Lasol. Dan, how you doing? You all right?
I'm really, I was going to say really well. That'd be a lie. No, it's all right. It's all right. I think there's a thunderstorm coming where we are because we've had a couple of weeks of very, very hot weather. And there's something in the air, and you can feel it and you can smell it. So I was going to say I want a big old clear out, but that's something completely different.
Two separate things, but absolutely fine.
Within the first 30 seconds.
Perfect. Yeah, I know. I'm in Yorkshire, and we didn't have rain for about 6 weeks, which is probably a world record for no rain in Yorkshire. It was weird when it started again. Now, now it's happened, it'll be here for the next 10 months. But
we're already halfway. It's only 6 months to Christmas. Sing that.
Oh man, alive!
Yes. My partner said that to me. Lucky she was on the phone. Otherwise,
I've not seen anyone. Normally around this time, people start going, nights are drawing in, which I know is technically true, like by minutes.
Yeah.
But let's not think about that, right? We've not even had to
enjoy. Yeah, we've got the loveliness of the weather and the changing seasons, and excuse me, that was a telephone call, my mummy. Yeah, but it is nearly Christmas. Let's just be miserable about it. We're old. The years go like that.
Well, they do. And also, how many weeks is it till the school summer holidays when they've just had half term and they've just had Easter and they've just had the half term before that, and they're pretty much only just back from last Christmas? How has that happened?
How do they get any kind of education? And there's strikes next week as well. But pick up the strikers. We support you.
Yeah. What do you do if your nose goes on strike?
Go on.
Pick it.
That's terrible. I was thinking blow it up. Blow. No, bogey. No. Yeah, anyway, random.
What is going on with Dad Lasol?
Bing! Lots as usual. So we are getting ready for Baton of Hope, which is the UK's largest ever awareness day for suicide next Wednesday. So the Torch Parade hits Brighton. So there's a whole range. Oh, wonderful. Yeah, a whole range of activities going on during the day. We've got our play date, which coincidentally, now we realise the teachers are on strike. There's going to be lots of families looking for stuff to do. So why not come down and cheer on the Baton of Hope parade and get involved in the activities?
Well, that's it, because there is so much going on in Brighton throughout that whole day that
Yep.
actually that's kind of well timed, isn't it? Because it's, if you are looking for ways to entertain kids and keep them busy, then what a day to do it, I guess.
I would say that we have political friends now, so we could have orchestrated that strike to help attendance at the play date.
Oh, yeah, because you and Rishi, you're like that, right? Aren't you now?
I wouldn't say like that, but yeah, we had a bit of good news last week. I got a call from 10 Downing Street, which was, I thought it was a Jeremy Bill prank for people that remember Jeremy Bill, but it wasn't. Yeah, and they've given us what's called a Point of Light Award, which is really, really lovely. Really lovely to see that, our sort of grassroots organisation is growing and it's reaching the corridors of power. It does make your head spin a little bit, but yeah, that was reassuring. And we got up for another award, which is, I think, Purpose Entrepreneur something or other. So it's called like the Grammys of Entrepreneurship as well. So we've got to go to a swanky do in that there London in the autumn. So it is an excuse to buy a new frock.
Of course. Yeah,
I'm going to get my hair done, buy a new frock, have my nails done, and feel socially awkward.
Who will you be wearing?
Who will I be wearing?
Yeah, that's what they say, innit? Who are you wearing tonight?
If it's not River Island, it's H&M or TK Maxx or Vinted. That's who I'll be wearing.
Not Foster's Menswear. Then.
When did that die?
A long time ago, but that's still my point of reference.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm no longer the man from CNA.
No, what a shame.
No, so that's really good. We have the awards and the recognition. We have been busy recording the first episode of the new series of Maybe I'm Just Like My Father podcast that will be coming up in the next few weeks. So we chatted to a lovely old friend of mine called Anthony Jacquin, who's the head of the British Hypnosis Society.
King of the hypnotists, basically, isn't he?
He was king of the yeah. Street magician, all kinds of wonderfulness. So that was really interesting, and we've got a few more of those planned. We're doing some work with a local organisation to support Ukrainian dads that have come over. Everybody was aware of the families coming over, but there was no news or data to say how many men are over here. But that's just been announced, and we realise that there's 300 or 400 within our community, and they're even going to be more sort of lonely and isolated than our general brothers. So we're doing some work with an interpreter and a Ukrainian support group to maybe get some fellas along. So that's a good thing, the power of the community that we've been doing. Do you know, we got a little call with Georgia State University in Atlanta tomorrow to look about that there Atlanta, that there US.
Who else would you be talking to, right?
Well, exactly. Well, it's Dr. Jesse, who's a professor of hip hop and fatherhood at the university, and we've been connecting on LinkedIn for the last couple of months, having a chat. And he's really interested in bringing Dadless Soul to America, ideally to do something on the 11th of August, which is the 50th anniversary of hip hop. So getting confirmation about that tomorrow. But wouldn't that be nice? Our little thing, this thing of ours, going international and, seeing a sign up in the corridors of education, thousands of miles away.
It's amazing, isn't it? And also, the kind of fatherhood and the funk and coming together across the Atlantic.
It just, when I saw his job title and specialism, I was like, dude, I've got to talk to you. Just have to talk. And he really is a lovely fellow, and we have to get him on the guest for this. So there's some really insightful stuff that he shares, and I think from the American point of view, that the black community lost a generation of young men with the the gang wars and the increase of crack and the privatisation of prisons, they've been robbed of their menfolk. So there's some real interesting work that's going on about how to alleviate some of the struggles that have come from that and make the dads, involve parents, which I think thoroughly support.
So it's an exciting time for Dad La Soul, is what we're saying. And that turned out, Nicole, did it turn out to not be Jeremy Beadle at all?
It was not Jeremy Beadle. No, it was the Prime Minister's office, and they've done a lot of research on us, which I obviously understand have to do due diligence. But they were talking to me about Top Rocking Beats, which is the events that we used to put on and stuff. So it's like, you've done your own work, haven't you?
Well, they probably do have a file on everyone, don't they? So
they do. They probably do. But when somebody's reading it out, you're like, yep, that's me. Yep, that's me. This is terrifying. Do I have to go to number 10? No, I don't.
Okay.
I'm a bit happy with that.
But they put on a good party, so...
Oh, topical and controversial.
Isn't it? When in Beadle's About,
yeah,
what I don't get, and I'd love if anyone has any experience of this, please do get in contact. But when, someone went, Jeff thinks he's starting a new job at a car showroom, and he's there on reception and the cars start crashing around and people come in and breaking them. I mean, hilarious telly, of course. But what about Jeff who thought he'd got a job? Like, did he walk out flipping the bird at his old boss going, I've got a job at a car showroom, so I won't be seeing you again? And then having to ring back going, oh, it's a bloody Jeremy Beadle joke.
You can't. You've been humiliated on national TV because there's only 4 channels. So that's what everybody was watching. Haha, joke's on you. You now can't feed your family.
If anyone knows anyone who was ever on Beadle's About, and this is not a phrase I thought I'd be saying this evening, if anyone knows that, please get in contact. Spread the word. I'd like to know more about the logistics of how that worked. Thank you very much.
Watch out, Beadle's About.
Indeed. Dan La Soul, thank you very much. We need to crack on with some more stuff.
You need to talk to some really interesting people for once, don't you?
Yes, please. I mean, I didn't want to put it like that.
I understand that, but in the words of one of my favourite films, nobody puts baby in the corner. Just putting it out there.
And on that note, we end this section of... So that was me chatting to Dan from Dad La Soul. He's like the boss man of Dad La Soul. And that's what's going on. So to reiterate, Baton of Hope is happening next Wednesday, 5th of July. It's all the way through the day. Loads of events going on in Brighton. 3 till 6 will be at the Bevy. It's the Dad La Soul, combined with loads of other great partners. Free play date for all the family. We're even letting mums in. I mean, that's it. That's how you know it's a good cause, when we're breaking that one big rule. Now, on the way, you've got, in about 10 minutes, you've got Ben Moorhouse. He'll be talking about his next extreme challenge to raise money to save babies' lives. First of all, he's here. He's not had to get in the car. He's not stuck on the motorway. It's Alex. Hello.
Hello. Great to be back. And I'm so sorry about last month, but everything conspired against me and I just couldn't get back in time.
Oh,
so I do apologise.
Sounded like a right nightmare. So you were stuck on a motorway somewhere, weren't you?
I was indeed. I was on the glorious M27, which for anybody in the south will know exactly what I mean and what a hellish road it can be.
So no big shout out to the M27. No.
Not at all, no.
Okay.
But I will just pick up on one thing. I had the most amazing pair of disco trousers from Foster's Menswear that I used to go out clubbing in Brighton with donkeys years ago. And I remember the shop.
Foster's Menswear was an absolute classic back in the day, wasn't it?
It was indeed, yes. They were just showing our age now, unfortunately.
Anyway, Alex is here because he is the guru of conflict management, and you've been sending in your questions. First question is this one. It says, my son's being bullied by a lad at school. I have his dad's phone number, but how do I approach him to discuss a way forward without seeming like I'm being accusative?
Okay. Bullying is always traumatic, is always tough. When you and I were at school, it ended at the school gates pretty much, or certainly at your front door it ended. Whereas these days, of course, it can carry on through the wonderful medium we're using now, the internet. I am always very dubious about ever, even in a friendly, nice sort of, dad to dad banter way, approaching another parent about it, because the other parent will do one of two things. They'll either become embarrassed and then do everything to try and make sure it doesn't happen, which is what you want. But it's a 50-50 split between that and those who then become the papa bear and just go into protection mode over their own offspring and going, no, my child would never do that. How dare you suggest it? I would always say that the best thing to do is to follow the 3 R's of bullying, which is recognize, respond, and report. So recognize, well, it's been recognized that it's happening by you asking the question. Respond, that's what we're talking about. How do you respond? Well, in this context, it is to report it to the school and let the school deal with it, because there's a certain amount of anonymity there. And if necessary, and it escalates, then schools usually have a policy where they try to have restorative conversations. And that can involve parents, but you've got the school there as a mediator. Going in one-on-one is very risky.
Right. Yeah, I guess because emotions, as level-headed as you try and be, there's a lot of emotion going on there, isn't there?
It is. And as best you can be, neither of you are going to be objective. You'll both be subjective. And that's why you need a mediator. And the mediator is usually the school in this context.
Yeah, because I'd like to think I'd be the one that goes, I'll get it sorted out. We'll sort it out. I'm so sorry. But I have a feeling I'd be like, no, it can't be. It can't. And yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, fair play. Thank you very much. Now, next one. Our neighbour's in her 80s, but she told our son he shouldn't wear pink because it's a girl's colour. I don't want to offend her, but I do want her to know that saying stuff like that isn't cool. How do you do that?
Okay, interesting history lesson for you. In Victorian England, blue was a girl's colour and pink was a boy's colour.
That is an interesting history lesson. I like that stuff.
It flipped over in sort of Edwardian times, just prior to the First World War. I would say that the best option is actually not to confront at all, is to perhaps, for the dad, get yourself a nice pink shirt. I have one. I should have worn it, actually. I didn't think of that this morning when I got up. I should have worn my pink shirt. The dad, get a pink shirt, a pink polo shirt, and wear that in the garden so she can see it. Or make a little bit of a staged, if you're careful, you don't make it obviously staged, where you say, where your son comes out in a said pink shirt, and you go, you found that shirt, mum's washed it, or whatever, just some bland comment like that. And that draws people's attention to it.
Mm-hmm.
Because to be honest, somebody in their 80s is set in their ways. That's what they think. You're not going to change that opinion, but you might just, through subtlety, stop them expressing the opinion. And that's what you're going to be after, is change the reaction they have from reacting to it to actually just not reacting to it. I think that would be the best way forward.
That's interesting. That's probably could be a lesson for a lot of conflict management, couldn't it? I'm thinking particularly on the internet, where it's quite often I'll see a tweet and I think I have to confront that. And I generally don't, because I don't like confrontation. And I think it's probably better anyway, because there's no way me suddenly steaming in going, you're wrong, and here's why you're wrong, is going to actually change their mind. Like, I guess through normalizing things is how you change minds, right?
It is, yeah. And as I say, it's about normalizing it and making it the norm, the usual, and then people just sort of ignore it almost to the point that it becomes an irrelevance.
Mm-hmm. It's not really the same thing, but I have an amazing cowboy shirt, which I absolutely love. It's quite ornate. And I remember, like, I'd worn it so many times, I didn't really think about it being anything other than just a normal shirt. But I remember walking past a building site and there were these builders going, "Oh, ride him, cowboy!" It's a bit like, that's, are you so bored?
Exactly. And that is just people's own internal opinion being externally expressed. And if you're subtle about it, you can get them to keep it internal. You can't stop them having an opinion, but you can try and educate them to not always express it.
Interesting.
And that was a beautiful link to the next question.
Oh, you've done this before. I run a shop and we have builders across the road working on the building opposites. They keep blocking the road and it's putting customers off coming down. I know they're only doing their job, but how do I get them to be more considerate? Said that person.
Yeah, because they're obviously affecting this chap's shop and his business. Okay. With builders, they're trying to do their job. It's difficult. They will block things up. They sort of can't help that. But one, are they parking? And if they are parking legally or illegally? Two, are they just waiting? In other words, they're loading, unloading, and moving on. Or are they actually completely obstructing the entire road, which, unless they have an agreement to do that, they can't do. So there are a number of options here. One, if you don't want to confront them, then make an anonymous call to your local council and the parking enforcement officers, and they toddle along and tell them, yeah. If they're obstructing the entire road, then that's a police matter. But if they're just parking illegally or unloading or waiting for too long, that's an enforcement matter. So it is, again, that. But one other option that you can consider is go and have a chat with them. I don't know what sort of shop you run, but if it's a shop that happens to sell biscuits, go across with some biscuits, go across with some mugs of tea. That will always go down well. And drop into the conversation, could you just move the van a little bit further down, because it's stopping my customers getting to me and it's really affecting my livelihood. And, I understand it's your livelihood to be builders, but we need to work together here. And so that would be my way forward if you want to be more direct, but not confrontational.
Oh, you've always got a good answer, haven't you, Alex? That's good. I mean, if you have a shop selling cowboy shirts, don't take any over. In my experience, they don't like them. They find them extraordinary.
But it is about with people with parking. Parking is always emotive, always has been, always will be. Case in point, this afternoon, I had to park up, buy a ticket from the machine at the side of the road, broken, not working. I had to then leg it to the other machine. By the time I came back, there was a parking attendant standing looking at my car with no ticket on it. And I said, I've got my ticket. And he said, there's a machine there. And I went, yeah, it's not working. And he went, oh, right. Okay, then. And he was expecting an argument and me having a go at him. And I just had a big grin across my face all the way through. It's probably slightly cheesy, but it diffused the situation because he thought, as a lot of people would, there's going to be an argument here. And there wasn't.
I think in his line of work, I imagine most days there's an argument because I don't really understand that. When you parked illegally, you kind of just have to suck it up if you get a ticket, right?
Yeah, no,
but
exactly.
People do take it out on traffic officers or traffic, what are they called? Parking attendants. That's
parking attendants now, yeah, because traffic wardens disappeared ages ago.
Yeah, lovely Rita parking attendant.
Yeah.
That's what I believe that Beatles song is called now. I've gone off on a tangent. Please, let's rein me in. Alex, thank you so much once again. Absolutely brilliant stuff. Really appreciate you getting through the traffic this time.
It's fine.
Nearly with a parking ticket, but, it's all traffic related stuff with Alex.
Yeah.
But yeah, honestly, thank you so much. Really good to talk to you.
And you. Take care, Jim.
Right, okay, it's almost time for our big interview guest of the evening, and that is the brilliant, the awesome Ben Moorhouse. Hello, Ben. How you doing? You all right?
Hello, good evening, Jim. How are you? Okay.
Yeah, not too bad. Now, Ben, you're our first returning main guest. I mean, Alex is here quite often when he's not stuck in traffic, and Glenn comes back every week, and Dan can't keep him off it. But the main sort of headline guest, you're the first person to come back. Do you feel honoured?
Yeah, I'm well and truly honoured, Jim. Yeah, I'm extremely humbled, and I'm very, very proud. Dadler Soul, it's a fantastic family, and thank you to yourself, Dan, once again for this opportunity. It's very, very proud once again. But yeah, thank you very much.
Now, could you give us kind of your story people who listened last time will kind of have heard more of that. We went into kind of a lot of the sort of background of your story. But I think it makes sense to kind of bring us up to date for people who weren't watching last time or didn't listen last time.
Yeah, so our daughter, Callie Patterer, was stillborn from back in October, 26th of October, 2018. If people don't know what stillbirth is, it's when a baby, after 24 weeks of pregnancy, is born dead before or during birth. And our daughter, Callie Patterer, at 37 weeks of pregnancy, back in October 2018, was born dead. We had a textbook pregnancy, a couple of extra scans towards the very end, but no concerns. And just a few weeks before our due date, we were told our daughter's heart had no heartbeat. And yeah, it's just, it's just, even now you can see it's soul destroying, devastating. But yeah, it was shocking, beyond belief, heartbreaking. And even 5 years now, 5 years on, it still is. But yeah, we were told our daughter had died. We were ready. The house was ready. We were ready to bring a young person back into our house, into our home, for our lives to change as well. And within minutes, within seconds, our lives changed. Back in October 2018. So yeah, we had to return home for 2 days, carrying our daughter still inside of Gaynor, inside of her mum, dead inside, a fully developed baby girl. So we went home to a house which was ready to be surrounded by everything, from her little girl's clothes to a bedroom, to a nursery, just everything. And then 2 days later, we had to return to the maternity ward, surrounded by crying babies, to have a 16-hour natural labour, to give birth to our beautiful daughter. And I just, when I held our daughter in my arms after, I just made her a promise that as a dad, I would do everything in my power to do her proud, and to ensure that she just didn't die for nothing.
And after that, you sought out the expertise of the team in Manchester, didn't you?
We did do, yeah. So we had the following year as well. We did experience a miscarriage at 9 weeks, which should have never ever happened, due to some information we were given. We thought we were doing. We always hoped for a brother or sister, even before Callie Patterer, if we were lucky enough. But yeah, we had a miscarriage at 9 weeks, and then we just, we thought there's just something not quite right with everything. We were never really given an explanation as to why our daughter died. Quite a lot of the blame was put on mum as well, which didn't help. But yeah, through some of the media work which I was doing at the time to raise awareness, I come into contact with Professor Alexander Heasel of the Tommy's Rainbow Clinic and Research Centre at Manchester University, at St Mary's Hospital, and we just got talking. And me and Gaynor agreed that in the future, should we be in a position mentally, physically, to hope to have a brother or sister, we would need the love and care, specialist care of Alex and the team, to hopefully give us a better outcome.
And they're doing this pioneering research, aren't they? But obviously, they need money to do that.
They do, yeah. It's like with any research, research it's not free, and it's a costly project. Any research, but yeah, the research Alex and his team are undertaking is pioneering, and they are through their research in Manchester, they are saving babies' lives. If it wasn't for Alex and the team, back during lockdown in 2020. We had our rainbow baby, Apollon, who is a real life miracle. And if it wasn't for Alex and the team and their research, Apollon would not be here now. He would have died. So Alex and the team just do such wonderful work for not just for our family, but so many families. And by saving babies' lives, they're also helping future generations of families for years and years to come. So yeah, the work they do it's just incredible.
And so you kind of you've always raised money for good causes. You've always done extreme challenges. And last summer, probably about the same time as now, we were talking to you about the extreme challenge that you were going to do for walking from London to Manchester. And I really remember it because I know you, Ben. I mean, full disclosure, I'm mates with Ben, and I know what he's capable of, and I've seen him determined, and I've followed him up the Yorkshire Three Peaks, and absolutely knackered myself trying to keep up with him. But I know what he's capable of, and someone got in contact, didn't they? And because your idea was to go walk from London to Manchester to the hospital, non-stop, no rest, no staying over in hotels, just do that walk. And I remember a message coming in going, well, it's not possible. He's talking nonsense. He's not planned it. It's going to take him a week at least. People can't do that. And tell them what happened.
Yeah, so during last July, during the record-breaking UK heatwave, with the roads melting from underneath my feet, I managed to get through from London through to Manchester in one piece, non-stop with no sleep in a time of 55 hours, which was incredible. I did only last year. I did only scrape through. Had a few hurdles along the way, but just that sheer determination, the love for my daughter, the reason why I do what I do for Alex and the team was the motivation to help me get to the finish line. But yeah, every age, and there's always people in any parts of life will always doubt you. I always say to people, please don't judge me on your own ability. If it's a challenge, is not a challenge unless it's challenging. And if it was easy, it's not worth doing. But yeah, last year was a very fantastic experience. But Ben Moorhouse doesn't stop, and I've got to keep going forward for my daughter, and for the reasons why.
So that is it. So you stuck one in the eye of the doubters last year, and you thought what you do is then just amp it up a little bit and make it a bit more difficult for 2023, yeah?
I did do, yeah. I mean, after the event, I do recover. I go over to Rhodes in Greece, let my hair down, just sort all the blisters out, and just have a couple of beers and just relax and recover. But mentally as well. A lot of people only just see the couple of days what take place, but for me, on top of working full time and running the charity full time, I have to live and breathe every day preparation for what I do for these extreme challenges. And I come back and I started talking to Gaynor, and I just said, I don't know, I'm more than sure you've watched the Rocky films, Jim, but after a few weeks, I still felt I had some stuff in the basement, as Rocky would say. And when you've got some stuff in the basement, you've got to keep going. And yeah, that's what I'm doing in a couple of weeks. I've still got something I just need to achieve for myself personally as well. And I've got a point to prove to myself, and just to do my daughter proud as well. It's just something I've really got to do. Yeah.
So what's the challenge for 2023?
So on July the 15th, so just over 2.5 weeks now, I've decided to push, one step further, or maybe more than one step. So yeah, I'm going to be walking from Edinburgh Castle through to St Mary's Hospital in Manchester. This is going to be 206 mile. I'm not doing it over a week. I could have quite easily done 40, 50 mile every day, hotel every night. full night's sleep, start again. I could have gone to a timetable, but what's the point in that? So yeah, Ben Moorhouse, the bereaved dad from Halifax, the normal dad, will be doing it non-stop, 206 mile, walking night and day, with no sleep. And yeah, it's going to be one hell of a challenge. And I've done the research, and from what I can make out, Jim, there's not one other person on this planet who's doing this distance non-stop anywhere. So that in itself tells you a lot. Even some of these professional endurance athletes, have contacted me and said, "Wow, this is just incredible." So yeah, it's going to be an epic, colossal, extreme challenge in a couple of weeks. But I'm prepared. I'm ready to rock and roll for my daughter, and yeah, I'm looking to do myself proud, my daughter proud, Dad Lassalle proud, and just help save babies' lives in the process.
Let's have a look at that route on this handy video that you have provided for us. Yeah, it's that last shot where it pulls out and you see the length of the country that basically half the country, isn't it? That's what you're walking.
It is, yeah. So yeah, when you look at Google, just at the Google Maps, just as a straight line, it doesn't look. People can't understand the magnitude of the size of this journey. But when you do see the map, in that way, it's just. Yeah, I'm tired just looking at it, Jim. It's yeah, unbelievable.
And if you know anything about those towns and cities that came up, there's a lot of hills around there as well.
There is, but yeah, it's nothing compared to the Yorkshire Three Peaks, Jim. So I'm sure I'll be all right.
That's true. Yeah, and you were a machine on that as well. Absolutely. It is a massive challenge. How long do you think you're going to take to do that, based on your London experience?
Yeah, from what I've been, I've been having a look at the weather reports as well, Jim, for the predicted weather for July, and yeah, it's hopefully looking like it could be a good spell of weather as well. So hoping if it's weather of 30 degrees plus, I'll take that into consideration. But I'm hoping to do it in maybe between 55 and 60 hours. But yeah, I'm not going to say what I'm going to do, but action speaks louder than words. But this year, I'm really raring to go. Last year was special, but this year is just, yeah, it's the stuff in the basement, Jim. It's ready to come out.
Fair enough. Yeah, that report that came out, that you sent me this earlier, didn't you? Exact time, subtropical Mediterranean airstream will see UK roasted by new heat wave. July. When are you going again?
July. Yeah. So yeah. The 15th of July, Jim. So yeah, we'll be heading up to Edinburgh on the Friday, the day before, with my support team of Gaynor, Jason and Adam. So yeah, I've got a cracking support team this year. But yeah, it's a massive challenge for them as well, Jim, because doing this driving and supporting me for my safety, that's a huge extreme challenge in itself. But yeah, hopefully I will get the weather, and I've got a lot of experience from roads, but yeah, the hotter the better.
You really, that's what you're hoping for? You're hoping for more?
I'm hoping. I'm praying. Yeah. It's just, for me, it's just, the more challenging the conditions, it's the bigger point I can prove. And hopefully, if people do see me in more challenging conditions, it may bring in a few extra quid as well, which is, you know, another reason why I'm doing this.
Well, let's talk about that, because that's kind of the elephant in the room, isn't it? That's one of these things is that I know we've had a lot of discussions about this, a lot of chat about this, but it's very difficult to raise money as someone who isn't already a celebrity.
It is. I mean, this is the biggest challenge, Jim. You know, I'm not saying everybody who does something for charity, no matter how big or small, in my opinion, is a wonderful person. You know, to make a difference for anybody is one of the biggest gifts you can give to anybody in life. But this challenge is, in my opinion, the biggest extreme challenge anywhere. And it doesn't matter who I go to in the media, whether it be newspapers, TV, radio, locally, nationally, beyond. There is just a total lack of interest. I mean, our press release went to lots of avenues, lots of channels through the media, and we've had two responses. One from Edinburgh, one from Manchester, and every other avenue was just no response. I had one response. I don't know if you did see it on Twitter. The reason why they will not cover my extreme challenge is because my daughter's death and story is too disturbing for the readers and the viewers.
I've got that one here. As you can appreciate, your story and extreme walk could be upsetting for many of our readers, including those with younger children, in which it could be very disturbing to read. On this note, we would not be able to cover this. However, I do wish you good luck with your challenge, rather you than me. That kind of perky ending is trying to mask what is, I think, a shocking thing to say. I mean, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted you back on. Obviously, we want to talk about the challenge, but that is basically saying, let's just sweep it under the carpet. Let's not talk about stillbirth. Let's not talk about baby loss because it's too disturbing and we'd rather just not think about it. But surely, I mean, you are evidence that talking about it and being able to express yourself and being able to then find kind of help is massively important for people, right?
It is. I mean, you know, before our daughter's death, Jim, you know, I didn't know about stillbirth. I was, you know, oblivious. I knew about miscarriage. In you know, from my knowledge, babies died during birth, after. But this term, stillbirth, stillborn, I'd never come across it before. And you know, through our pregnancy, like most other people in society who have not known about this subject, after 12 weeks or beyond, I just thought everything was okay. And you just go on as normal. But yeah, this is the problem. You know, if one person, such as this person on this example, can brush it under the carpet, what are other people doing? And for me, it's through my experiences, it's that people just simply cannot put themselves into the shoes or into the position of a parent who was experiencing this devastation and pain. And I think that's what it boils down to. But you know, without speaking about it, how do we save babies' lives? And I'm not just talking about research, but you know, there will be couples out there now going through what they think is a normal pregnancy, and the fact is there'll be couples everywhere around the UK with their babies inside, and they will be completely oblivious, and their babies are fighting for their lives. And the local maternity units they're going to are none the wiser. And it's scary. And you know, it's for me, and we know through the charity, maternity is a postcode lottery. And just by speaking out through the media, it can help, you know, educate people through pregnancy, and through that process help to save lives.
And I imagine also afterwards as well, because I know when you were on last time, you were talking about the lack of support, particularly for dads in that situation. You're already in a bewildering situation that you don't really understand. You were obviously never prepared for, you didn't even think about. And then a lot of the aftercare is focused on how the mum's doing, which is, you know, obviously that's important. but you were talking about how you were sort of alienated, yeah?
Yeah, and I still am, Jim. 5 years on, people very, very rarely ask how I am. You know, based on my daughter, they just think because I'm a bloke, I'm a general guy. I should be strong, and I should be able to move on in life. And as time goes on, you just forget about things. And because we've got a pollen, I'm just okay. A lot of people see our son as a replacement, which is totally wrong. Just because our son's here and well doesn't mean every day I grieve for my daughter, which I do. And people just, it's, I think, unless it's happened to yourself, or somebody who has experienced the death of a baby, or you are just a genuinely good person, good kind person in the world. Most people will just push it to one side. But yeah, as a dad, it's, even now it's tough. But this is why I support all the dads, through the charity, because I was never given any support. So yeah, I've got over 100 dads now in the UK and overseas every week, who are all in a very similar position, such as Alison's husband in the comments. They've never had any support. So just through a promise to my daughter, if I can be there just to listen, or just be there, just like we are now, just talk, just to have somebody to talk to, it makes a hell of a difference. And I said from the start, if I can help one dad, it's just worth doing.
And then you get messages like that, which are basically saying, don't talk about it. And that's one of the most shocking things that I've seen, that of everything really, is I know the challenge that you've had with raising money for this. And I couldn't believe that someone would say, oh, well, we don't want to talk about it because it might be disturbing. Sometimes we have to be confronted with these things because it helps to prevent these things from happening, but also it helps people who have been through these to not feel alone, to feel supported, to feel like there's someone else out there. And to say, don't talk about it is absolutely shocking. It really is.
It is, and I think it's comments such as this, Jim, which when I do say, I like to prove people wrong, and it's not the biggest motivation, but at the back of my mind, come July the 15th, everybody who does not support through choice, such as this person, it will be an extra driving force just to say this is why I do what I do. Yeah.
Okay. If people do want to donate to this, because it's an amazing that you are putting your body through just absolute endurance. You did it last year. You're going for something even more difficult this year. Tell me this is the correct address, yeah? justgiving.com/Manchester206. There you go. So you can donate to Ben and to his cause by going to justgiving.com/Manchester206. And all of that money goes to Dr. Heasel, yeah?
It does, every single penny. So yeah, through our small charity, we every single penny, every pound raised through the pain and suffering which is coming my way in a couple of weeks goes to Alex and the team. But knowing how it's going to help families, to ensure they don't have to go through the devastation that we do. Every mile is worthwhile. I have set myself a £10,000 target, as you know, Jim, but I'm just over £1,500 at the moment, which it doesn't just justify what I'm doing. But without publicity, what chance do I have of reaching that? But yeah, if there's any support out there, please donate, please share to family and friends, and it would be amazing. Thank you.
It's one of those things, isn't it? Because if this was like a sports relief or a children in need, when they do these extreme challenges beforehand, you'd get Joe Wicks or someone like that, and they'd genuinely do something that really put themselves through the ringer, and they would raise so much money doing it. Yeah. And that's completely justified, and that's completely a great thing for these people to do. And and I think people really respond to it. But it just blows my mind that people can find out what you're doing, and people, the press don't want to report about it, because this is it's nuts. If you don't mind me saying, it really is.
Oh no, I'll take that as a compliment, Jim. Thank you very much.
Yeah, in the best possible way.
Yeah. It's good to be crazy. Yeah, as Zorba the Greek said. But yeah, it is crazy. There's nobody else doing it, but it's something I must do to challenge myself. But yeah, £10,000, I don't think is a lot for what I'm doing. It's a big sacrifice for 6-7 month preparation. And yeah, any amount of money. Alex, I know Alex is happy and proud of. Alex will be joining me as well, 20 or 30 miles from the finish as well. So he'll be walking with me to help me on my final miles, which is a big help. He did join me last year as well, and just to be able to talk, dad to dad, about life, about Kalipatra, about his children, about the research, and just that motivation. It's always a big help from Alex, but yeah, unfortunately, it's the way of the world. Unless you do have the luxury of unlimited publicity, it's tough going. But if I can get to the end at St Mary's and hand on heart say I've done my best, that's all I can do, and I can be proud.
And how is the training going at the moment?
Very well, Jim. Thank you. Yeah, it's I mean, I'm not going to say too much, but this year I've really focused on quality. I've achieved everything I set out to do in training, which has been good. But with this type of extreme challenge, I've said before, it doesn't matter how much training you do. There becomes a point where it's about mental strength and the reason why. And I'm sure a point will come where my body will naturally want to drop to the floor, and that's where no amount of training can help. It's about just the reason why, and you just carry on through love.
And I know you will, and I know you're going to do it. You're going to smash it, and yeah, just amazing. Just the best of luck. justgiving.com/Manchester206 if you want to give money to Ben's insane challenge in the best possible way. Ben, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you very much, Jim. It's an honour, and love to the Dadler Soul family, and everybody look after each other, look after your families, and God bless. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ben. Really appreciate it. That's it for this month's Dadler Soul sessions. Back next month with just quite a fascinating show. It's all about comedy and other things going on, but we'll reveal more on the Dadler Soul social media in the run-up to that next month. Don't forget, this is happening next week. It's the Baton of Hope event. It comes to Brighton on Wednesday, the 5th of July, and we've got a free play date for all the family at the Bevy, 3 till 6. We're doing that with our associated partners, and it's just going to be cracking. It's free, but you do need to book your tickets. So you need to book a place for you and the family. So make sure you do that. What I'm going to do is just stick up the QR code there, and that is where you can go and get your free tickets, book your free places, and make sure you come down on Wednesday to the Baton of Hope play date in Brighton. And as Dan was saying earlier, schools are on strike, so you'll be looking for something to keep the kids entertained. Thank you so much for being part of the Dadler Soul sessions for June. I'll be back live